Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay. We're just looking at this picture here so you get to see the two scumbags in question. And then we're going to flick over to another article that we're going to read through. There's a link in the description for the other article. I'll start off with a bit of an overview. It's in regards, as I say, to these two hideous scumbags. Parents, the father, the mother of a 1-year-old boy who they both have been charged with the murder and torture of that 1-year-old boy, their own 1-year-old son. We don't know his name. Police haven't divulged that information. In essence, seemingly, a quick overview, these two scumbags drove their own son's lifeless body to the father's parents' house. So they arrived at the grandparents' house with a dead body of their own child in their arms. The grandparents drove them to hospital. The boy was pronounced dead. The hospital staff recognized that there were issues with the boy. There were injuries, long-held injuries. So they got the police involved, and that has resulted in these two scumbags, again parents, that face several charges, including both the murder and torture of their 1-year-old son. We will look through the details just to make sure I give you all of the correct details, but essentially there was a lighter and perhaps other equipment found within the car that they transported the young boy in. A lighter. Why is that relevant? Well, brace yourselves. They burned him with a lighter. That's what they did. That's how these parents acted. Did I say parents? I should have said mongrels. I should have said evil scumbags. So they tortured the boy. He had burn marks on him, over his body, all over his body, as well as other injuries. So we'll pay a little bit more attention to the article, and it's this article here. There's a link to this article in the description. So county prosecutors in Barstow, California, have charged these two scumbags that are suspected of killing their 1-year-old boy and then driving his body to another city to, for some reason, get his get the father's parents involved. I mean, that just seems like pointless to me. But they've been charged with several crimes, including murder and torture. The scumbag father is called Ricardo Mendez. He's 27 years of age. Would you be surprised if I was to tell you that he has a long criminal history, including violent acts? He was previously charged with murder. Would you be surprised if I was to tell you that? Amongst other violent acts, seemingly domestic violence, either against a spouse or a cohabitant. Would you be surprised that this alleged murderer of his own 1-year-old son has a violent past? Now, I mentioned that he was charged in 2020 for attempted murder. Did I mention the sentence? He was sentenced to 2 years in jail. If I understand this correctly, I may not. 2 years in state prison, I should say. But he was given credit. So he only had to serve half the time. My maths tells me that that would be 1 year in jail for attempted murder, as well as other charges that he was seemingly found guilty of. 1 year. So seemingly in California, you're allowed to try to kill people, try to murder people, and you may just get 1 year in jail. Just 1 year. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Barstow, California. I mean, I don't know if that's typical of the whole of California or just this area, Barstow, but that is fucking sickening. But I don't wish to detract from this topic. This topic is even more sickening. He is alleged to have killed, along with his partner, along with the mother, he's alleged to have killed his 1-year-old son, as well as tortured him. They were both arrested earlier this week after the Pomona Police Department notified Barstow police of the suspicious death of a boy. So the boy, as I said, was taken to hospital by the father's parents. And it was only later that the mother arrived at the hospital. And because the hospital staff were able to identify the long-standing injuries and the burns on the boy, lesions and bruising, all kinds of trauma at the hands of violence or due to violence, the hospital staff obviously did the right thing. They got the police involved, and it led to them being arrested, the parents being arrested. So the police believe that the boy died prior to the scumbag parents driving the boy's dead body to the father's grandparents, the father's parents, the grandparents of the boy. And then they were taken, the grandparents took the boy to the hospital. It's just crazy. The boy was declared dead. And also, the article tells us that a torch lighter was found in the vehicle, and various burns all over the child's body were consistent with a lighter, which goes a long way, regrettably, of providing evidence that these two scumbags did the worst. They tortured and killed their 1-year-old son. I'll throw in the word allegedly there, but seemingly that's what happened. Personally, I have a lot of faith in the authorities in this kind of situation. Personally, my view is this is basically a foregone conclusion. Sure, there's a presumption of innocence, but we've already read too many details for us to think anything other than these two evil scumbags are guilty of exactly of what they're being charged. That's my opinion. I'm allowed to have my opinion. That's likely your opinion too. The boy died. That's a fact. He was in their guardianship. That's a fact. There were burn marks all over his body. That's a fact. There were all kinds of other bruises, trauma, lesions on the boy's body. Fact. As stated by the medical examiners. The parents are to blame. And, how can we be surprised? Or how can we be that surprised? The guy was charged with attempted murder. He's clearly violent. I'm going to say this. I say this quite often. I get a couple of complaints every now and then when I do say what I'm about to say, as I'm potentially victim blaming. Hang on, that's wrong. No, forget that. This is not victim blaming. I'm going to blame the woman. I mean, I blame them both, obviously. But one thing here is women, mothers, if you have children or if you're planning on having children, if you're going to get into a relationship, don't get into a relationship with an attempted murderer. Just don't do that. There are other guys out there. There are other women out there. You don't have to, I'll say, hook up with, enter a relationship with, maintain a relationship with somebody that's been convicted of violent crime. What's going on in your head? Why would you do that? I mean, the only real answer is because they're kind of violent themselves. Maybe that's unreasonable, but seemingly not. They've both been charged with murder and torture of their 1-year-old son. Maybe I'll save that rant for another day. I'm going to wrap things up here. So I have gone through pretty much all of the details there. There is a link in the description. Of course, condolences to the victim. Am I using the right words there? I think I am, but if there are better words to use, feel free to correct me. But condolences to the victim, a 1-year-old innocent boy. You might say an angel, depending on your religious views and such, but an innocent child, his life taken away, presumably tortured, as the charges suggest, as the medical examiner's report suggests. Burn marks all over his body, bruises, lesions, trauma. It's clear he was tortured, a 1-year-old boy, perhaps all of his life, seemingly, allegedly, at the hands of his fucking parents. What a sick world that boy experienced. Born into the world, tortured till the day they die. I mean, that... Okay, evil. Just downright evil. So I'm just going to wrap things up here. I can't dwell on the evil too much. I've got to give myself a little bit of mental breathing space. But of course, condolences to the victim, a lost angel. I normally like to say condolences to the family, but seemingly it's not appropriate here. Condolences to the grandparents, perhaps. But that's as much as I can muster. So I'm going to wrap things up here. If you do value this type of content, and I know a lot of you do, I really, really appreciate your comments. You don't have to comment to me all the time. Comment amongst yourselves. Vent, express yourself. And yeah, so if you do like this or value this type of content, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit. I'll carry on making videos. I'm trying to keep up and pump out a lot of videos. As I've mentioned, it's difficult. It has a mental strain covering these topics, but bear with me. We'll carry on with this, and perhaps we can edge towards doing live streams at some point, and we can perhaps have open panels and people can come on, express their thoughts and discuss this, discuss that. But we'll come to that as we move forward. I'll thank you for your time, guys. Take care.